All right, before we begin, let's thank our sponsors. Inspect All Pest Services, providing the highest quality termite pest and wildlife control. But that's not all. Inspect All Pest Services will take care of your insulation, pressure washing, gutter maintenance, and other home services in Metro Atlanta and the surrounding areas. InspectAllServices.com. Big thanks to the Aurora Law Firm. That'd be one Mad Dog Manny Aurora and Pew Pew. The AuroraLawFirm.com litigates all of the United States, based out of Georgia, whether it's criminal defense, white-collar crime, DUI, drug offenses, appeals, and more. That would be the Aurora Law Firm. Ridgeline Counseling, Dr. David Markwell and his therapist. 3 locations in Georgia, one across from Sprayberry High School in Sandy Plains and East Cobb. Marietta near the square in McKaysville, just outside of Blue Ridge. But the good doctor can talk to you wherever you are at with a virtual session. Schedule that today via markwelltherapy.com or email him directly, ridgelinecounseling@gmail.com. FPC Insurance, perfect for new homeowners, or if you're just looking to reshop those current insurance policies, which is never a bad idea. 5-star service, shop over 35 A-rated companies, multi-policy bundle discounts. They'll help you shop for carriers to find insurance for your house, flood, auto, motorcycle, boat, recreational vehicle, or even a personal policy. 888-308-1841. You can always get a quote online, FBCInsuranceServices.com. Alternate Power Solutions of Georgia, family owned and operated. They are a Generac generator dealer offering sales, service, installation, and repair of automatic home standby and portable generators. Never lose power again. They're the best at what they do, hands down, no doubt about it. Every customer at Alternate Power Solutions gets an upgraded warranty, free monitoring with a service contract. They offer flexible financing, semi-annual and annual service contracts for existing installations, and warranty repair. A-plus rating with the BB&B. Call or request a free home assessment. You can do that by calling 770-853-7571 or go to poweringgeorgia.com. Don't forget the discount code Bailey, my last name, Bailey, for $500 off your entire installation, servicing Georgia and Tennessee. Jayco Contracting, gutter and roofing specialist. Give Cliff Bratcher a call. Two-peer Cliff Bratcher. This is the hardest working guy in the business and the most trustworthy. 770-316-3876. He works every day of the year. Don't worry about it. He's got you. Licensed and insured roofing and gutter specialist covering all of Georgia. They are a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning, the creator of the Pink Panther, not the you know what I mean. Free gutter guards with the purchase of a roof. Satisfaction guaranteed, commercial and residential. JaycoContracting.com. And, of course, Cliff Bratcher, 770-316-3876. And Live Ozone Therapy Spa, Central Florida's first and only ozone therapy spa, also offering red light therapy, presotherapy, halo therapy, PEMF, and also chromiotherapy, plus many ozone-infused products online like the magnesium butter. You can go to liveozoneTherapySpa.com to book your appointment or to purchase any of those products. And for all 2 peers, if you use the code BS10, you get a 10% discount at checkout. All right, if you want to be a sponsor of the show, please reach out to me via thebaileyshow.com. Let's have a conversation, see how the BS podcast can help your brand. All right, let's begin.
What do we want to talk about?
To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Welcome to the Bailey Show podcast. A guy show women love to listen to.
Intellectually immature nonsense.
That's BS.
That's BS.
That's BS. That's BS.
Okay, man, let's do it.
All right, there it is. Episode 336 of the BS. Thanks for being here. My name's Jason Bailey. There is the bald badger. Wouldn't know it. He's got a hat on. That is Benjamin. How are you, Benjamin?
I'm good. How you doing today, sir?
Well, on top of the world.
You got to forgive me. I'm a little froggy today.
I know. You're still recovering from the big gig this past weekend that your band, the Good Ole Boys, had at Wing Shack off of Michigan in downtown-ish Orlando, which was very nostalgic. I don't know how long that Wing Shack has been there, but back in the day, you know, and side note is I used to live right by there. I used to live off of, is that Conway? a four-way. Yeah. When I was telling the story to my wife when we were on our way over there this past weekend, I said, God, I haven't been over here in years. A lot of these places now that I'm back in Orlando, it's just like this, everybody's got that deja vu, weird kind of creepy feeling when you visit a place. And so I hadn't been off that exit in a while. So when I was in Tampa from 2006 to 2008, it was a bumpy couple years all over, so I was married. We got, she asked for a divorce while we lived over there. We didn't really live in Tampa. We lived in Riverview. So we weren't really part of Tampa. I worked at the radio station over there, 98 Rock, which was, for the most part, wasn't a disaster because I learned a lot, but it did not work out. I flopped for the most part. Most of that on me, by the way. And that's another story. But so I started a business, a women's boutique with my wife. I was hands off, so that flopped.
Which is good to be at a women's boutique.
Right. She asked for the divorce. I get fired. We're getting ready to enter a recession. And I didn't even understand what that was. I didn't take it seriously. And so I'm out of a job. I'm getting divorced. It's ironically, we're talking about this because our guest was the first person I told, and I went to go and see and stayed at his house the day that she asked for a divorce. And that was Bubba Ray Dudley, the former professional wrestler, WWE Hall of Famer. Anyway, so I get the job in Orlando at Real Radio. Very happy about that. I just want out of this house. We're in a recession. No one's buying. Short sale becomes a thing. Banks have no idea how to handle it at the time. There was no textbook on how to handle a short sale. I buy this house for, it was like 300 or maybe a little bit less. And I get an offer for like 144. I mean, this is how bad the times. For those of you listening that went through that time and what I'm talking about, exactly. I'm sorry to bring up some bad feelings, but it was a disaster in this country, right? A lot of people right now are going, very reminiscent of 2008, like what happened on Wall Street on Friday. I know for everybody that loves Trump has excuses and is going, oh, don't worry, just wait, it'll come back. And I agree with you. You do. You wait and come back. Said the same thing in 2008 when Obama was in office. But when you support the president, for the Trump lovers and the Obama lovers, they all say the same thing. It's not their fault. They inherited it. This one, Trump, it was Trump's fault.
Yeah. He trumps the rest of the story on this one. It's all him.
Yeah, I don't care how big of a fan you might be of President Trump, and I like a lot of stuff he does, but that tariff thing. But the what you say is like, just wait it out. It's going to all come back, and let's hope to God it does, right? But anyway, that's not the point. So I moved back to Orlando, and my wife, or my soon-to-be ex-wife, she goes, I found you a house to rent. It's close enough to downtown. It's a party house. You're going to be single. I want you to be safe. I want you to be close to downtown. I want you to have a place that you can go back with your friends. Like, how cool is that? That's how
pretty
cool.
Damn thoughtful.
That is top-notch divorce stuff right there. So anyway, we had it, and it was called the Koi Ponderosa, and it was just the coolest party house. It had pool in the back, had this big koi pond with a bridge, looked like Mr. Miyagi's backyard. So anyway, I had the deja vu going to your gig this past weekend at Wing Shack, which I didn't even know was over there. The only Wing Shack I remember is back in the 90s when I was at UCF. Every Wednesday was Bladder Bust with, rest his soul, DJ Jake. And you would go and you'd pay like $5 cover and drink as much as you could until somebody had to pee. And then you would see the bouncer at the bathroom and he'd flash the lights. Did you ever do that back in the day? You ever go to Bladder? Oh, you're a Bladder Bust guy. Well,
not necessarily at that bar, but I went to, Nickel Beer, which is kind of the same idea, 25-cent pitchers, different venues. But yeah, I never went to Bladder Bust.
So Nickel Beer, before Big Belly took it over, it was that Cheyenne Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
That was the Hip Snips.
Talking about Cheyenne Saloon, when I was about, I'm going 4, maybe 5 years old, I was on stage clogging for Charlie Daniels' set at Cheyenne Saloon.
Sweet, dude.
They had the best pork sandwiches in an aluminum foil. It was awesome.
Yeah, Jimmy Jocelyn was the DJ for Nickel Beer back in the day. I believe. Lord. I'm pretty sure it's Jimmy Jocelyn,
Okay.
who is an Orlando mainstay, still doing his thing too. He created, I believe, what was called Sin Night. It was Service Industry Night. They called it Sin Night, Sunday nights, House of Blues.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody.
That I went to a lot.
Yeah, that was a cool night, and he was the man. I believe he created that night with the House of Blues.
I worked at Planet Hollywood, so we would get off our shift and just walk through downtown Disney.
Yeah.
So now it's Disney Springs, but back then it was downtown Disney. And we just cruise on over to Sin.
Yeah, that was the good stuff, man. So going to your gig brought up a lot of memories of back in the day. So I'm past. I didn't have time to go past the house. I'm one of those kinds of guys. But let me tell you this: I'm not used to working with somebody in a band that can sing. You are amazing, dude.
Thank you, brother.
Like we were blown away. You had a great crowd, and everybody was having a great time. And your band is awesome. The bass player, my wife, absolutely loves. And if you've seen my social media, I posted a slow-mo of this dude. He's an older guy. He's got long white hair. I mean, he doesn't look real. He looks like a character. And
I never thought he did until I saw the slow-mo that you posted. I'm like, okay, yeah, he looks like a GIF. With bass.
It was great. It was fantastic. So you did a bang up job, dude, an absolute bang up job. Good Ole Boys, the Good Ole Boys. If you get a chance, and I'm sure we'll do a podcast in Pours with the Good Ole Boys. So, all right, our guest is early, which is great. So let's bring him on. He is one of my dear friends. Like I said, ironically enough, having that conversation about me getting divorced from my first wife, he was the first person I called. And I went and stayed at his house that weekend. And it was a hell of a story that weekend when he was with TNA Wrestling. He is a WWE Hall of Famer. He's one of the hosts on Sirius XM's one of their most popular shows called Busted Open, which is beyond amazing what they've done with that show. Also, if you watch LFG on WWE or A&E, I'm sorry, for WWE, he's one of the guys on there with Undertaker and Mickey James and Booker T. So let's welcome to the program, Bully Ray. How are you, buddy?
Your ex-wife has huge fake boobs now.
I know. Yeah. You just noticed that, huh?
That's the best news I've heard in a while.
You mentioned her, and I think I saw her on Facebook, and it just reminded me. So, yeah, what a way to enter the program, right? So
it was funny because Ben, by the way, meet Bubba. Bubba, meet Ben. And Ben had a gig. He's in a great band. They do a lot of Southern rock stuff. So he had a gig this past weekend, and I was driving by an old house that when I first moved back to Orlando after getting divorced from Crystal, and she found the house for me. She was like, you're going to be going downtown, you're going to be drinking, you're going to be partying. And I was telling Ben, you were, ironically enough, you coming on, you were the first person I called, and you're like, well, I got to work tonight. You were with TNA at the time. Why don't you come up and we'll hang out? And then afterwards, we went to Wing House, I believe, across the street. And I remember the conversation you were having with Booker T when he was initially talking about going back to the WWE, as an announcer. And then when we were leaving, that was when all the cops went into the intersection, and I tracked down the bad guy on the road, and I rolled up next to him and slowed him down so the cops could get him. I don't know if you remember any of this, but that was a hell of a weekend.
Sounds like a great story. I've been hit in the head a lot, thus I remember none of this.
Yeah, true story. All
Grand
of it is
Theft Auto Tampa edition.
So it's just funny how this all kind of plays out. Things are going extremely well for you lately. Congratulations on all of this success.
Thank you very much. And I always give you where credit's due, where credit is due. So I'll give you credit right off the bat. If it wasn't for you putting me on your show years and years ago, I would never have gotten a taste for this radio thing. So thank you again.
It's I had very little to do with it. And I'll tell you why, because when Bubba came on the show, I had just gotten afternoons at JRR, and I put out, for the first couple months there, some of the worst radio you could have ever possibly listened to. I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was trying to do talk radio, and I'm coming up. Remember, I did this horrible bit, and I was so embarrassed. I had no idea. I had no direction. But that was me. I later figured it out. But for Bubba, he was like, man, I like this. And this was when you had just parted ways with the WWE at first, and you were looking at your future. You didn't know what you're going to do. And that got you bit by the bug. And now you're a part of arguably the biggest show, one on Sirius XM, but without a doubt, the biggest wrestling show in the world, which is crazy what you guys have done with that radio program.
Yeah, Busted Open has really become a monster in the world of professional wrestling, and we did it the old-fashioned way. You know, we busted our asses. Dave LaGreca started the show like 16 years ago. 8 years ago, I came on board, and I had a vision for Busted Open past what he had started. You know, Dave LaGreca started the show with another guy named Doug Mortman, two fans talking about pro wrestling, and I think they had taken it as far as they could possibly go. And I wanted to give it, I told Dave, how do you feel about taking your show to the next level? And he goes, what do you mean? And to me, it was more about like Shannon Sharp and, you know, Skip Bayless going back and forth, or any of those shows on ESPN where you have the pro, and you have the guy that's not the pro, I don't know, the analyst or whatever it was, and they go back and forth. And me and Dave had a great chemistry from day one. It really has worked. The show has skyrocketed. We brought on other talent, and hopefully, any day now, we're going to get an announcement that the show is going to go 24/7. The entire station would be renamed Busted Open, and it would be professional wrestling talk 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well, it's incredible that you even have that kind of ability to have 24/7 conversation about wrestling. That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Wrestling is on 6 days a week, sometimes 7 because of pay-per-views. There's always something to talk about. There's always some kind of controversy. There's always something to analyze. There's always somebody to talk to. So we constantly have fresh content.
Yeah, that is, whoever pulled the trigger on that at Sirius XM is brilliant. Just to see, you know, because you've spun it off with your own show, which I believe is Wednesday nights on Sirius XM on Fight Nation. It's Busted Open After Dark, and that's you are the guy there. And then you bring in other professional wrestlers. You have Dolph Ziggler. You have
Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry.
Yeah, Tommy Dreamer, Mark Henry. And it's just, you guys are, this is when you made a post not that long ago about the success of it. And I remember I commented on it. So, but I said this, you guys are the Sports Center to professional wrestling as Sports Center is to other professional sports. I mean, that's what you guys have become. It's, as a radio guy that's been doing it for 3 decades, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this done for such a niche topic. And when that's niche, I'm not being demeaning to the wrestling community because I'm a fan. I'm just saying 10 years ago, if you were to say this, Bubba, you could then go, who would have ever thunk it, right? It was a crazy idea.
But I'll say this, and then tell me if it's actually that crazy of an idea. About 10 years ago, maybe more, Vince McMahon came up with the concept and the idea for the WWE Network because he knew that wrestling fans were basically junkies. They wanted pro wrestling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whenever they wanted to view it. And Vince, owning the majority of wrestling libraries throughout wrestling history from the various companies out there, opened up this network. And the network was extremely successful because wrestling fans want to talk about wrestling constantly. The only other genre or universe that I can compare it to is probably Star Wars. Wow. And it's as toxic as the Star Wars universe. Also, Star Wars fans, Star Trek fans, or, Marvel fans, they're so loyal and dedicated to the product that it consumes them.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to get that with hopefully, fingers crossed, with Busted Open 24/7.
So let me tell you something. I've never told you this story before, but I had just started my career, so that would have been 95. This might have been 97. So growing up in Sarasota, Florida, my neighbor was Mean Gene Okerlund. So like Mean Gene got me the tickets. I was at Bash at the Beach. If you slow it down to one frame, you can see me up in the left-hand corner with my fraternity jersey, Sigma Chi. And I saw it when Hogan came out and turned here. I was there at the Ocean Center in Daytona Beach. So Gene, I was at UCF at the time, and he had reached out to me. We weren't best of buddies by no stretch of the imagination. I talked to him occasionally, and he had reached out to me and asked him to meet him for breakfast. So I met him at this place, the village in Sarasota off Siesta Key for breakfast. And he had pitched me an idea. This was probably 97. And he had said, hey, look, I'm trying to launch a wrestling radio show and I need a producer. Are you interested? And in my head, I'm going, I love wrestling, but you're crazy. I was like, I just started my career. I just got hired not that long ago. I just don't know if, I would love to. This is the brass ring, kind of. I was like, I'm interested. Just tell me. Never heard anything back from him. But what you just said, I forgot about that story. Goes back to 97. Mean Gene, whether he was being the voice of Vince McMahon or not at the time, but he pitched me an opportunity to produce a radio show in 97 for wrestling.
Not shocked.
Yeah.
Not shocked. Wrestling has always been popular. It's just to what level of the popularity at any given moment, whether it's your grandparents who got you into wrestling, your parents, whether it was the heyday, whether it was Hulkamania, the Attitude Era, ruthless aggression, what we have going on now. Wrestling has always been popular. It's at some say it's at its apex right now in popularity. And I think Busted Open is a testament to that. One of the biggest compliments I get, and I'm sure you guys can appreciate this, one of the biggest compliments I get on Busted Open is I listen, but I'm not a wrestling fan. I listen because you guys are so damn entertaining.
Yeah. And you are, and that is true. That is the ultimate compliment you can get for a person that talks behind a microphone. I always say every show that I did on the radio at the time, and even in the podcast world, is that if you're talking about it after it's done, back in the day before, the internet radio and the podcast radio, that was kind of the rule of thumb in radio, is that every, not only show, but segment, you would want to do something, say something compelling and thought-evoking enough that someone, even if it's one person, baby steps, afterwards brings it up at the dinner table to their significant other that doesn't listen. That's an old school mentality because times have changed, but you can take the same idea now, just like you're saying, is somebody listening outside of what we're delivering? That's the ultimate compliment. You're correct.
Yeah, it's a soap opera that doesn't have to be watched every day to still be interesting in the conversation and grasp the listener.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it does. I hear from a lot of people like, hey, I didn't watch in a while, but now I just came back to it. Another thing that we get a lot of is I don't have time to watch, but I have time to listen to you guys. And based on what you guys say is whether or not I'll go back on my DVR and watch it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of that because I don't want people to come to listen to Busted Open and hear me go, okay, I like that match, and they go watch it, or I didn't like that match and they don't watch it, because I never want to take away from the performers. I want the performers to do what they do and let the audience decide on their own. I never want to sway anybody. That's why I was never a fan of like Siskel and Ebert with the movies, or restaurant critics, or star ratings in restaurants. To each his own. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Everybody has their own taste buds. Watch it on your own. Consume it on your own. Listen, watch, decide whether you like it or not, and then take a stand on it.
Yeah. I watched, I believe this was SmackDown the other night, and setting up for WrestleMania with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins, with Paul Heyman, your guy, in the middle of all this. And I don't follow all the wrestling 100%, but I follow as much as I can. I get the clips and this and this and that. And of course, Caleb is the mark of all marks. So my son texts me nonstop about stuff. And I came to this realization. I go, and this is one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, do you think the writing for professional wrestling today is the best it's ever been? And why is that? Because that segment with Punk, Rollins, Heyman, and Reigns was one of the best segments I've ever seen in wrestling, period, the end.
There's only two metrics, in my opinion. There's more than two, but the two hard metrics, in my opinion, that determine whether or not the writing is good for any particular company is asses in seats and how many people are watching at any given minute at home on television. That tells you everything you need to know. If you're writing compelling TV, if you're writing good stories with compelling characters and good soap opera, just like they said in the movie Field of Dreams, if you build it,
they will come.
They will come.
Yeah.
And, and people are turning out in droves. There are some that would say this era right now is better than the Attitude Era. I mean, it's a discussion. They are making considerably more money now than they did back then. I think the Attitude Era had an edge to it and was cooler than wrestling is now. But at the end of the day, it's about business and the amount of money you can generate per head. So yes, I agree with you. What they did in the ring the other night with Punk and Roman and Seth and Paul, very compelling television, strong characters, a strong story. What is the favor? They string you along every single day, and you want to tune in. I'll never forget as a kid, I was with my grandmother a lot, and my grandmother loved The Young and the Restless soap opera that's been on for 50 years.
Her stories,
exactly. And I would always be like, oh, Grandma, I don't want to watch this. Oh, Grandma, I don't want to watch this. And then one day, I guess as a young teenager, I watched The Young and the Restless with her. 2.5 years later, I stopped watching The Young and the Restless.
When they killed off your favorite character?
One show, Victor Newman. Victor Newman, I still remember his name from The Young and the Restless, right? One show hooked me for 2.5 years because it was so compelling. And think of what they do on soap operas. It's 5 days a week for 1 hour. So they got to keep you coming back every single day. And then Friday, they got to leave you with such a great cliffhanger that you want to tune in on Monday.
Yeah.
That's masterful writing. But that's what pro wrestling is. Yeah. And there's pro wrestling is art, and there's different types of art. If a Picasso sells for millions, if you gave me a Picasso for free, I wouldn't hang it on my bathroom wall. I just don't see it. Okay. I just don't get it. It's not attractive to me. There are certain types of wrestlings out there. Some wrestlings are rooted in characters and stories. Some wrestling is rooted in athleticism and acrobatics and performance. The acrobatics and performance might make you go, wow, woo, oh, gee, wow, yay, ooh, But you can only come so many times before coming gets old too. You need a break.
Right.
I'm a storytelling guy. Any great song tells a story. Any great movie tells a story. Any great book obviously tells a story. Think of some of the greatest songs ever written. The Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah.
Okay. Scenes from Italian restaurant. Like I could go on and on. All great. Everything tells a great story.
You brought up the Attitude Era earlier, and as a novice, I don't recognize what years that fell into. Could you explain that for us real quick?
The Attitude Era was when Vince McMahon went on television and said, what we've been doing for the longest time now is no longer working, and we need to up the ante and start giving our audience a more adult-oriented, in-your-face, brash, extreme product. In 1994, a little fledgling company called ECW started to catch a lot of attention on the corner of Swanson and Rittner Street in South Philadelphia in an old bingo hall. And ECW was bringing a very, very mature style of pro wrestling, adult-oriented storytelling, characters with a more violent way of wrestling. And we were basically the Sex Pistols and the Ramones of pro wrestling. And this really started to catch on. And more people were talking about it. And you would tune into Monday Night Raw and hear ECW chants. And Vince McMahon realized this, that this was the new direction that wrestling was going in. And thus the Attitude Era was born. They were no longer catering to children. They were catering to 18 to 34 demographics. It was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It was, it was strippers. It was violence. It was Steve Austin and The Rock and, Triple H and The Undertaker and the Hardys and the Dudleys. And it was a hell of a time in pro wrestling.
Do you think
we were all rock stars?
Do you think
bullshit? We were all rock stars.
You think the Attitude Era, I know the answer to this question, but do you, for the audience sake, the Attitude Era in the WWE was a direct reflection of what you guys did in ECW?
1,000%. Without ECW, there is no such thing as the Attitude Era. It just does not happen. Wow. Because if you look at what ECW did in those years, had never been done in wrestling before. Yeah, down in Memphis, in a little territory, they did certain storylines that were a little bit more violent. They were a little bit more cutting edge, but it never really, it went on in Memphis. Or any of the territories around the United States, if it happened and it went a little too far, it only went too far in that little territory. ECW was like catching on like wildfire from the Northeast to the Southeast and then, heading out west. People were talking about ECW. Monday Night Raw, which was live every Monday night on the USA Network, a 3-hour show at any given moment in any city. Fans would hijack the show and start chanting ECW. Mm-hmm. And that pissed Vince McMahon off.
Mm-hmm. ECW was the only time that I can remember a wrestling organization's fans sharing VHS tapes of the matches. That's how I learned about ECW. I was in a college dorm, my buddy at Georgia Southern, and I was visiting him. And he says, dude, have you seen this wrestling, this wrestling show? They throw chairs and stuff in the ring. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, yeah, it comes on at like 2 a.m. or something, but I've got some VHS tapes my buddy gave it to me. I'm like, you're swapping VH. I mean, there's only 2 things you swap VHS tapes for back in the day. Porn and now wrestling. I'm like, what the shit? That is crazy. I mean, that's what I say about podcasting. Podcasting is like the old school book sharing. People want to be proud of the podcast they listen to and pretend like no one knows of it. It's just theirs. They want to share it with you.
I remember when you gave me your copy of Boner Jams 2001.
Yeah, it was you and Devon.
Oddly enough, that was a wrestling tape.
But here's the thing. Exactly what you did, what you said. Like, dude, did you hear about this ECW? Dude, did you see this? When you say that to somebody, it's like, what? No, what? You've already created a sense of excitement. You know something that they don't and they want in on. And then you see it for the first time. Watching ECW for the first time is like opening up Kiss Alive 2 for the first time.
I was just about to make that reference.
So you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, when you create water cooler conversation, there's a whole culture that's infiltrated the norm, and that's incredible.
When I remember where I was standing in my grandmother's house when I took the plastic wrapper off of the double album, of Kiss Alive 2. I opened it up, the billfold up, and I see the stage, and I see all 4 guys in the makeup and the explosions, the pyros, the blood, and I was like, what the hell is this? I fell in love with Kiss the minute I saw them. Same thing with ECW. And there's a reason to this day, the segment that you just mentioned, Jason, that was weird for me to call you Jason, by the way. You mentioned SmackDown the other night with Heyman and Punk and all those guys. At the beginning of the segment, when it was just Punk and Heyman in the ring in front of 15,000 people in Chicago, what chant broke out?
ECW?
An ECW chant in 2025. That company was dead and buried in 2001.
That's crazy. 24 years. That's nuts.
Still chanting those. They don't chant AWA. They don't chant NWA. They don't chant WCW. They have never chanted for another wrestling company like they chant ECW.
And also, as a wrestling fan, if you go back to the matches that you've seen live and you remember what stands out, like what performers did something that night that stood out for the rest of your days. Obviously, the Bash of the Beach thing I mentioned, I mean, that's iconic, right? You know, I would put you in this conversation. I was there, you know, when you became the leader of Aces and Eights. You know, I mean, that story was masterfully told. But go back to the 90s when ECW, you and I didn't know each other, and I don't know if you were there or not, you probably were, but ECW had a match at what was Zuma Beach, downtown Orlando off Orange Avenue. RVD broke his ankle that night, and I watched New Jack jump from the second floor on top of somebody on cement. I'm like, what the shit? Like I've been to WWF matches at the time, and I went to WCW. I've never seen anything like that. That was
Jumped off the balcony at Zuma.
Yeah, there's like you know when you go up to
Who do you think put that show together?
You, right? You were the booker.
Correct. Yeah. I wasn't the booker. No, Paul Heyman is the booker. I was the promoter. I was the guy that said, we're going to this building on this date. I put the tour. I was like the tour manager.
Yeah, that was like such a badass show. I was sitting up there on the speakers behind the stage, and you know, do you remember that? Like, I don't know. You remember the RVD broke his ankle, and you know, yeah,
absolutely.
I've been to a bunch of matches. That one stood out. You know, I just have nobody ever to talk to about it because I don't know if anybody would care.
You need a water cooler.
Right.
By today's, I don't even really tell the stories anymore of what went on in ECW, because by today's standards, they sound like complete lies, complete fabrications. Like people would be like, that never happened. You're a liar. It's impossible, because if that did happen, you'd be in jail right now.
Right. Or
it happened. It all happened.
Or canceled.
Oh, without it. If anybody was going to be canceled, then it would have been me from back then.
Right. Could you imagine?
Hey.
Jesus.
Which of your personas did the most vile stuff? Was it Mongo? Was it Terminator? Would your
Mongo? That's a nickname in or college.
You're reading too much Wikipedia, sir. Yeah. Those are names like when I first started in the wrestling business. That
I love it.
ECW is when me and my brother Devon truly earned our perception as people that you just did not want to fuck with. People, when you came to see us, you knew something was going to happen. When I say something was going to happen, it was not a stretch for a riot to happen on a weekly basis. Full-blown riot, wrestlers going over the guardrails, fans coming over the guardrails, cops called, police dogs, arrests, the whole 9 yards. It was like going to a crazy-ass punk show. And, you know, there was no difference between what we did as, like, if you bought tickets back in the day to see Sam Kinison and you sat in the first couple of rows, you knew you were a prime target.
Mm-hmm.
If you went to a Dice show, you knew you were a prime target. If you went to a Lisa Lampanelli show, you knew you were a prime target, especially Lisa Lampanelli.
Yeah, shit stabbers.
If you went to an ECW show, you were a prime target for the Dudleys at any given moment. And we said and did things that nobody else would do. We went so far that we incited riots.
Did you ever find somebody to come up to you at that time and just be like, dude, this is not going to end well? Like they would try to start fights with you guys. Like
all the time.
I mean, that's all like the old, was it the AW? They have these they do it in these stadiums, and they walk through the stadiums, or you hear the stories of like in Puerto Rico, where, I mean, these fans just did not understand that this is entertainment. They it was really sold. I mean, that's where Bruiser Brody got stabbed, right? I mean, that probably wasn't from a fan, but I mean, these fans were just rabid. They did not get it. Today, they kind of get it. And if they get in the ring, then you guys have the green light to whip their ass, right?
Not anymore. If you came over the guardrail with me and Devon, you put your own life. That's like jumping into the lion's den.
Yeah.
Like you see these people, they go to the zoo and I'm going to go pet the lion. Yeah. Good fucking luck with that. And that's what would happen with me and Devon. And if one night we had somebody jump out of a balcony to try to get to us. It was at the Elks Lodge in Queens, New York. The arena was like a mini Thunderdome with the bottom floor and a balcony that wrapped around the entire arena. Yeah. And this one guy was up there and he had heard, I think said some very disparaging things about his sister, his wife, and or his mother. And he had heard enough, jumped out of the balcony to try to get to me and Devon.
What happened to him?
What do you think happened to him?
Well, did he make it down safely?
Oh, gravity ensured that he made it down.
And
we ensured that he did not get up.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if he jumped and then just broke every bone in his body and it was pointless to do anything after that.
It was crazy back in the day. That stuff does not go on anymore.
So back to the storytelling, doing this as long as you've done it, been a part of, arguably one of the biggest stories and matches with the tables, ladders, chairs, which we'll get to here in just a second. You see what John Cena is doing now after turning heel, which I'm going to put a question mark after that, by the way. And do you think that what John Cena and The Rock are doing right now for leading up to WrestleMania is one of the best stories that's been told, at least in the past 10, 20 years?
I'm going to go back to my business answer. Asses in seats and ratings on television.
Personally, though. Professionally.
Yes.
Yeah. Why?
Yes.
Why?
Because people are interested. They're intrigued. They're curious. Because you're not giving it all away. It's because it's based in characters and stories. Why did we know The Rock is doing this pseudo Mr. McMahon, drunk with power, bully type character.
Mm-hmm.
He wants Cody Rhodes' soul. He wants Cody Rhodes to be by his side. The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal.
Yeah.
Okay. And Johnny was able to play the violin better than the devil. And Cody outsmarted the devil and told him to go fuck himself. So the devil found John Cena. It's the devil went down to Georgia, and it's Star Wars. The Rock is the emperor, and now he has found his Vader in John Cena. Cody is very much Luke. What is going to happen? It's classic good versus evil. Cena is doing a masterful job as a heel. Who are the greatest bad guys in history? The guys that were the greatest good guys first.
Right.
In order to get to hate, you have to love first.
Yeah. Yeah, very true. Yeah. Well, I don't.
You have to love somebody so deeply that when they do wrong you, that's when you hate them. If not, you're indifferent.
Yeah.
And indifference does not work in wrestling.
I don't see this ending traditionally as John Cena going out as the heel. Like if it's the typical Emperor, Vader, Luke, what happened eventually? There was always good within the dark side of Vader. And then when it came down to, the nuts and bolts, Vader turns to the Emperor and throws him over the balcony. So
exactly what you said, that exact scenario is the exact scenario that I brought up on Busted Open when this all started to go down. Mm-hmm. I can't see John Cena riding off on his last night in December of 2025 in Boston, his hometown, as a bad guy.
But there has to be, as you've taught me, always a payoff. So what's the payoff going to be? And in your business, which I wish every business followed your guys' code of the pay it forward, is he needs to pass the torch to Cody. So how does he do that with this story? That's the question.
Here's the Star Wars situation really works, but here's the problem. Passing the torch to Cody. If John Cena turns back babyface, let's say he does that at WrestleMania or SummerSlam or whenever, and John Cena becomes loved again, now you've taken the spotlight and the love off of Cody and put it on John, or at least 50% of the people, or at least 50% of your emotional investment will be with John and not Cody. You need Cody Rhodes to be the absolute most beloved babyface hero at the end of the day, so that when John Cena walks away, it's all given to Cody. And there's only one way to do that, in my opinion. And I've been wrong before. But if John stays heel up into the end, then you have to love Cody up until the end.
Yeah, I don't think it'll change at WrestleMania. I think they will find a way, however.
Eventually.
The last match in Boston where it's not necessarily, hey, look, I'm a good guy now, but his actions explain why he went on this journey, and it was all to pay it forward. Because most of the fans in professional wrestling know, I mean, well, at least they think they know, but they understand the love of the business. They're not just fans. You know what I mean? They're not just, hey, look, that guy comes, that guy. I mean, they're loving the business. They've learned to love the business. So they understand why some of these guys do and girls do what they do, because at the end of the day, I hate that term, but it's all about the business, right? The fans know that, which is crazy. It's like one of the only sports out there that the fans actually understand that concept. No other sport has it.
Bruno Sammartino, Bob Backlund, Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, all mega baby faces that carried a company. Who's the mega baby face to carry the company? It's Cody right now, but they need to solidify Cody for the next 10 years. I'll never forget in 2016 at the TD Waterhouse Arena in Boston, I was having a singles match on SmackDown against Roman Reigns. And Vince McMahon said, okay, Roman, you beat Bubba in, 10 minutes or whatever it was. And I was thinking about Roman at the time, and I had an idea. And I went into Vince's office. I said, Vince, what if we did this? And I gave him a different suggestion on the match. And he goes, Bubba, I love it. He goes, that's what I want you to do tonight. But keep in mind, whatever you do, make sure you get Roman over to the best of your ability tonight, because this is the guy who is putting food on our table for the next 10 years. Vince McMahon told me that one-on-one in his office at the TD Waterhouse in Boston.
Wow. What year is this?
2016.
Oh, okay.
Vince knew then that Roman was the guy for a long time. That's what they need to do with Cody. Needs to be the guy for a long time. Now, don't get me wrong. Cody is going to be the baby face for a long time. But when the day comes that Cody Rhodes ever becomes a heel, he is the Anakin Skywalker of this story.
That's crazy that Vince McMahon is that much of a visionary. I mean, I remember interviewing Roman I think it was right when I got to Atlanta. So it would have been 2013, right? It was on a sports station. So we're talking about his days at Georgia Tech and stuff like that. And he was just not ready to do the media stuff yet. And I was like, oof, this is going to be a tough, and then you just see where he's at now. It's just amazing. I always say this about people ask, for the haters of wrestling, they're like, I watched that as a kid. You hear that a lot. I was a kid. In my business, our business, people have heard me say this a million times. Professional wrestling is the only medium that can mind fuck you live and on television when you already know what's going to happen. Like, that guy's going to win. Not every time, but just say, that guy's going to win, but you still care to watch and you are emotionally invested because you love it.
It's not the only medium of entertainment that does that. And I bring this up a lot because I compare pro wrestling to one other medium or art form in entertainment that does the exact same thing.
I don't know what it is.
Magic.
Oh, magic. Oh, magic. Yeah, because the rabbit's going to come out. Yeah, you're right. Okay. The rabbit's going to come out of the hat.
How much money will you pay to go see David Copperfield in Las Vegas?
I'd pay money. Yeah, sure.
Chris, paying a couple of $100 for that ticket, right?
Yeah.
And when you really whittle this down, what are you paying David Copperfield to do?
Mind fuck me.
Lie.
Yeah, exactly.
I still don't know where the hell he put the Statue of Liberty that one time. That was great.
And what does David Copperfield do? He makes you believe his lie. What word lies in the middle of believe?
Lie.
Lie.
Yeah. Can't have lies without families either, right?
So not only do you know going in that you're going to get lied to, he lies to your face. And when the elephant disappears, that didn't really disappear, and that, you stand up on your feet and you clap because he has lied so well to you.
I've never looked at it like that, and I'm so angry with myself right now. How did I not think of that?
And then you go home and you tell your friends about it, and you drag your friends to David Copperfield so they can see the elephant disappear.
And get lied to. That's brilliant. That is such a great analogy, dude. I'm so angry right
incredible.
now. Fuck. God, I thought I was so good with the mind fuck thing on my own. Why did you even come on this show?
Talk to you guys later. Bye.
What if? Here's one for you. What if Cody turns out to be John Cena's long lost brother or some shit? Yeah, I can write a storyboard here.
You can tell he's a neophyte. Yeah, he's a newbie.
But
there's amnesia involved.
With pro wrestling, there are so many different aspects of pro wrestling that come into play in my world, whether it's magic, whether it's basic human psychology, poker.
Yeah.
Think about this. Storylines. I cannot tell you how many times I've showed up to work and given a promo or a match or been told, here's what you're doing for the next 3 months, that I thought was not good, maybe even awful. Sit down at a 5-card stud table in Vegas. You get 5 cards. What do you do with the hand? You have 2 choices. What are the 2 choices?
Play or discard.
Fold?
Or fold or play. Yeah.
You can't fold in pro wrestling. So you have to play. Now, what do you have to do? You have to play these shitty cards to the best of your ability. And it's your job to make it work. And I remember you being a bit of a poker player back in the day, right?
Well, I spent every day last week at the poker room, so I'm still playing.
So you could be sitting down you could be in the finals, the final 2 guys of the World Series of Poker, which is probably up to $10 million now.
Oh, yeah, it's up there.
And you can win the World Series of Poker and $10 million with an absolute busted hand.
Yeah, well, yes. That's a different scenario because when your head's up, you're going to have to get lucky and hit something. You can't bluff them out of the pot.
Sure you can.
Not a heads up, you can't. No way.
No, you can't.
No, you can't bluff. You can't stack somebody heads up.
Okay, what you're saying is going all in against his all in, and then you have shitty cards.
Right. You can't.
Okay? But if he has a shitty hand and you have a shitty hand, but you have an ace, you win.
Right. That's yeah. So I understand what you're saying. You know, as a poker guy, I'd have to say position matters as well. So if I'm playing 7 deuce offsuit and I'm on the button and nobody raises but 4 people call and I pop it 6x and everybody folds and I show the 7 deuce, that's how you get that. But I understand what you're saying. You know,
I'm glad you understand what I'm saying because I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
Well, I say this, you know, so where we moved at, one of the reasons we bought this house in Deltona, Florida, is because it's 9 minutes from the poker room. And I mean, there's other reasons.
Poker room.
Yeah, well, there's other reasons because, you know, there's the only house. You
frequent a poker room in Deltona, Florida?
No, Orange City, Florida.
That just sounds like a problem.
Yeah, I'm actually getting the 800 number tattooed on my back.
Okay.
So I've got a different lifestyle now. You know, I don't have a 9 to 5 morning show. I've got some free time. I mean, outside of this and then the projects and then the spa, of course, it's kind of a side hustle, let's just say. And so I go up there. I mean, it's fairly simple. You know, you get cards in your hand, you match the cards on the table, and if yours are good, then they give you money. I mean,
Daddy buys some shoes with that side hustle. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, last week, you know, I made 2,300. You know, so it is what it is. But I always say a poker table this sounds really cheesy, but a poker table is life. You have 8 people at the table, sometimes 9, and each person represents a sect of life. You can, if you have a good read on people, you know, that's the fast player. That's the tight player. That's the asshole. That's the person that's going to go on tilt. That's got thin skin. That's the person that's got emotional problems. That guy's really good. You can just tell by his demeanor and how he talks and the words he uses. I love learning that about people. You know what I mean? And that's character building. And that's what wrestling is too. It's all about storytelling and character building. That goes for any business in the entertainment world. If you can tell a good story and you have the right characters, you know, the show that you're doing, the LFG show on A&E, I mean, it's a television show, let's be honest, but you're creating characters within the show that you hope will develop and be able to be used on television with a WWE brand. That's what your job is on that show, right?
You're looking for future stars, yes.
Yeah. And have you found any?
I believe that of the 16 future greats, there are 3.
Is it that guy that you almost beat up?
I believe that kid has personality. He has I'll say, Logan Paul-esque personality with not nearly the amount of talent.
Is he really a dick? He looked like a dick on the clips that I've seen.
There you have it.
Yeah. Do you guys film that in Orlando?
Yes.
Oh, so that's why you're in town. Oh,
I'm there every week with absolutely, as I've told you, like when I tell you I don't have time to breathe between Busted Open in the morning, my taping schedule, having to be involved, you know, watching NXT or watching AEW while I'm down there, and then doing the after darks on Tuesday night, on Wednesday night. But my days are normally from, I wake up at 8 and I go to bed at 11, and almost every minute except for like a lunch break is accounted for.
Are you filming that at Full Sail?
Yeah.
Yeah, at Full Sail. Are they still doing NXT there?
Yes.
Yeah, I know there was a little bit of a hiccup at one time. My buddy's sister's husband runs it. Yeah. So anyway, that's cool. I thought you were coming down to do the Busted Open stuff. I thought that's
cool. I'm doing Busted Open and LFG when I'm in Orlando.
Oh, okay. I got you. I want to ask you about this. Again, I saw the clip with Charlotte Flair and the Tiffany girl. Yep. And supposedly they let them go off script and do some shots. She took a shot about the marriage and stuff. Over the top too much or good for business?
It depends on if the women knew about the going off script. I don't have a problem with anybody saying anything to one another on TV. Like if me and you were in a ring, right? And me and you talked beforehand, and I talked about your failed marriage and you talked about my failed relationships, right? But personal stuff like that the world may not know about, right?
Right.
As long as we have agreed to talk about some of our most personal things, then nothing is off limits.
Do you think they did that?
I did not get the feel that both women knew about what we're going to say. I think Charlotte got a bit childish and went off script with the, you got a squeaky voice, blah, 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 blah. I didn't think that was befitting of a 14-time world champion. I thought it was just childish.
Did she say that after the marriage shot?
Before.
Well, then she ran out of things to say.
The Chicago crowd was very aggressive. I don't think Charlotte has been in front of a crowd like that in quite some time. Because remember, she was gone for a year.
Yeah.
She came back at the Rumble. She's been, the crowds that she's been in front of since the Rumble haven't been that hard on her. Chicago was hard on her. And I think that the crowd got under her skin a little bit. And it can happen to anybody and has happened. The only person I've ever seen that it hasn't happened to is John Cena, to be honest. So I think the crowd got under her skin a little bit. I think she went to go say some things. She wasn't able to get it out. I think that she made fun of Tiffany's voice. But then I think Tiffany went into territory that Charlotte did not know that she was going to go into.
Do you think that she was told to do that? Or she's still new to this.
Tiffany is very new. So did she go into business for herself and decide to say these things? I don't know. Was she told to say these things? I don't know. What I do know is this. When she said what she said, she got out of that ring real fucking quick.
Yeah.
She literally backtracked, huh?
As if her body language told me Charlotte had no idea I was about to say this. I better get out of here before I get my ass kicked.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a story of whether you were involved or you were at a show that you saw somebody go off script and it did not end well, whether in the ring or when they got to the back?
I would have to be reminded because my memory of I've done a lot. So, but nothing really comes to mind. I can just tell you from personal experience. I am very upfront with anybody I'm in the ring with, whether it's verbally or physically. I remind everybody that no matter what I do out there is within the scope of what we do for a living. Mm-hmm. I won't take any type of shot at you. Like if I think something is, if I want to, I'll take me and Tommy Dreamer, for instance, right? Mm-hmm. Me and Tommy are so close personally, but every once in a while in the world of pro wrestling, we're not very close and we're at odds. We have an agreement. Say whatever you want, do whatever you want, because we know it's in the best interest of business. The last time me and Tommy Dreamer were in a ring together, he started to cry because he was talking about his mom that passed away. And I told him, I don't give a fuck about your dead mother.
Jesus.
Harsh, right?
Yeah, pretty brutal.
If I said that, normally that's going to really get you going, and right? But it was acceptable because we have a working agreement. So I tell guys, I might do something to you out there that we have not discussed. I might do something out there to you that physically feels a little bit more real or sounds a little bit more real. I'm working within the context of what we do. Mm-hmm. I always want people to know that.
Yeah.
If anybody does that to me, and I don't think it's ever happened to me. If you did, by the time you got the words out of your mouth, my hands would be on you.
Let me rephrase that question then with cutting a promo and might go off scripts and really piss the person off, like the Charlotte Flair Tiffany thing. And when you were in TNA, the famous line after you win the World Heavyweight Championship and we find out you're the leader of Aces and Eights, and Hogan and Brooke, his daughter, outside the ring, and you say, screwed you and I screwed you, or whatever the line was. Did you sit down with Hulk Hogan before that and hash that line out?
No, saying, Brooke, I screwed you. I did not ask for permission to say that, because that came to mind when I had the microphone in my hand. And saying I screwed you is not that big of a deal, because we were in a relationship on television.
Right. Yeah.
And we were in a relationship off of television for a little while.
Right.
So it's like, I'm what am I really doing? I'm telling Daddy that I screwed his daughter. Well, we were in a relationship. He caught me on TV. Well, he didn't catch me. He caught us on TV kissing in a parking lot.
Well, I still think you screwed up with that one. That was a good one. I liked her. I'm just saying. I think Hogan liked it too.
I got to tell you, I have nothing but nice things to say about Brooke Hogan, and I always have. Brooke Hogan is a good human being, a very nice girl when I knew her, a very nice woman. And I was so happy to see her finally have children. She just had twins.
Yeah.
And truth be told, and I don't know if I've ever told this before, so I'll tell it here. So here's your social media clip. Maybe together for about 3 months. She had expressed to me that she wanted kids. I knew I never really wanted kids. And the very next week I said, listen, I'm sorry. I can't really continue to move forward because of children. And that was the God's honest truth. I don't think it's fair for anybody to move forward in a relationship if one person wants children and the other doesn't, or somebody wants marriage and the other doesn't. I think I did the gentlemanly thing in saying, hey, sorry. Brooke was a tremendous person. So a couple of months ago, when I'm scrolling social media and I see her sitting there holding her twins, I was like, wow, I am so happy for her. I immediately texted her and said, I could not be happier for you. God bless you. God bless your kids. I hope you're happy, yada, yada, yada.
Was that because you knew that if they were your kids, they would have been a lot uglier?
Dude, I'm a damn handsome man. Dig me.
Dude.
Not only do they dig me for my ruggedly handsome face, but this voice, the super sexy swinging sounds of Uncle Bully's sandpapery smooth voice, I'm thinking about doing voiceover work for romance novels.
How to get soft in 6
He's
seconds.
ladies, man.
Chicks dig my voice.
Who's the baby daddy? Is it a wrestler or
I believe he's a hockey player.
Yeah.
all the blondes go for the
Yeah,
hockey players? Carrie Underwood, all of them. They all go.
But Brooke was a fun girl, like fun, like witty and funny. And I thought she was absolutely beautiful and a 6-foot stunner. And I'm proud to say that every girl that I have been in a relationship with, in my opinion, very pretty women.
Yeah, that night that we all hung out at the Hard Rock, that was really the only time I was around her when you guys are together, but way cool. Like, I just, not that I expected anything different, but I just thought she was just like a really cool chick. And
I used to have her debut album somewhere. She recorded it at Transcon where I worked.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. She recorded in Orlando? Shocker. Yeah, everybody.
Nothing but nice things to say about her.
So I'll let you go after this because time's up. But when WrestleMania comes up, who do you think goes over, Cena or Rhodes?
Or
who should?
Cena.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and then lose
lost brother.
And then
if Cody wins.
Yeah.
Like, we need our babyface to overcome adversity again.
Right.
But you know what? The WWE has been a traditionally babyface company forever. So if Cody did win, I wouldn't be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I said on Busted Open a couple weeks ago when Cody told Rock, "Go F yourself," and Cena turned and kicked kicked Cody in the balls. And they were able to take a story that they started to plant seeds about a year ago and bring it full circle and pay it off in one night and plant new seeds about where they're going.
Mm.
I said, this company, these entertainers, this creative team have earned the right for the wrestling world to shut up and allow them to tell their stories.
Mm-hmm.
Because they took something that lasted for a long time and they paid it off. And I'll go back to the Aces and Eights story, which played out for a year before it was paid off. And it worked, and the numbers.
Oh, we lost your audio. Yeah. Lost your audio. No audio. Got too excited. The Aces and Eights thing.
Damn it, man.
I know what he's getting ready to get to it, Ben, about Cody being the.
I'm enthralled.
Hold
I
on.
need the rest.
Here, let me do this. I think you hit the thing. Unmute mic. Your mic just disconnected from your computer because you can't unmute it. Bubba, got to reconnect your microphone. It's going to be all right. He's going to throw it. He's looking at it.
Going through the window.
Says the mic is not connected. Yeah, I'm sure that we'll get to Cody Rhodes being the, what'd you say, long lost brother?
Yeah, man. Gotta be something.
Was that your big wrestling? Did you even watch wrestling? I'm not getting any audio from you, Bubba.
I did not watch wrestling, but I'll tell you, it was way more interesting watching it with people that were so into the storyline and so forth, with you and Caleb. So it kind of got me there, and quite frankly, talking to Bubba, I'm loving this.
Well, that's why if he can get his microphone working again, that's what I want to tell
I know,
him.
I'm dying for the rest of this.
All right, I'm back.
Hey,
there you
nice.
go. Aces and Eights.
Oh, please finish.
It was a story that it took a year, but it finally played off. The numbers, people were interested. So, like I said, these guys have earned the right for fans to sit back and let the stories play out. Let's see what they're going to do at WrestleMania. Rock is advertised, I believe, to be on either Raw or SmackDown next week. Let's see what they got.
Well, Cena is, I'm assuming, making a fortune with merch because Caleb, my son, for his 25th birthday, was giving hints to both me and Rach that he wanted the replica old school WWE World Heavyweight Championship spinner belt that Cena made famous. Rachel said, hell no. I'm not spending $519 on this belt. He sends me a text. I get it. So I was like, I understand if that's what you want. Okay. It's on back order.
Forget about the belt.
Well, I already got it for him.
Yeah. Okay, great. How is your super hot wife, Rachel, doing?
She's working 6 days a week at a live ozone therapy spa.
I want to come to the spa. I don't want you to be there.
Well,
I would just like to get services from Rach.
So let's make something very clear. When you get into the Hocket sauna,
I'm not going to fit.
Yes, you are. You're going to.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. You are fully undressed.
Yep.
You will be wearing a skirtish robe. Make sure that it's connected on the side. And when you are getting up, you don't show your Dudley boys to my wife.
You're Dudley Diddley.
All right.
I make no guarantees, kid.
So to answer your question from a couple months ago, it provides the ATP in your cells with 2x plus of oxygen to rejuvenate and repair those cells at the mitochondrial level while working with the other modalities.
Does it improve blood flow?
Yes.
That's all I need to know.
I've got my first Hockett appointment on Tuesday, and I am so stoked for it. I've been getting halo therapy as a singer for my voice. Made a drastic difference to my my last show. So I can't wait for the
testosterone and growth hormone therapy.
Yeah, no, don't do T, but I do T, and this is a good on top of your testosterone. We'll put you through everything. Like when Dallas came down with his wife, he, and DDP is all into this stuff, right? He had no idea about ozone therapy, which shocked me, to be honest with you. He wants to get one for his new retreat up in Panama City Beach, but like the pressotherapy, which you should do with lymphatic drainage. I mean, seriously, all this stuff, dude.
Diddly.
I'm going to send you links to see what it will do to your body.
Do me a favor, don't send me anything. I'm not going to read it. My patience level is at an all-time low. I would just rather just show up, take my clothes off, and have your wife put me in the thing and do my drainage.
Okay, we'll do that then. You tell me when you want to do your thing and do your drainage. We'll make it happen.
The Dudley Diddley on display.
All right, dude. Well, it's good to talk to you. I mean, I'm talking to you in a minute, so I'm glad.
I promise on like tomorrow, right? I leave tomorrow, and we're doing a triple taping
of what the LFG show
of LFG, and we're starting season 2. I there's like zero time in the day. I don't leave. I'm either in the PC, I'm in a studio, or I'm in a hotel room. And when I'm in the hotel room, I'm sleeping.
Did you ever think that at this point of your career, you would be this involved in wrestling in the capacity that you're in, especially with the WWE?
I didn't know about the WWE because, listen, I'm not somebody that has always played by the rules. I've been very rebellious in my own way throughout the years. And WWE doesn't love that, but they know what I have brought to, and everybody matures. I'm a different person. People, I got along for the most part with everybody there. Does everybody love me? No. But they see what I do with Busted Open. They see the job that I'm doing on LFG. I think they're happy with everything. Our relationship went back on the mend in 2015, 2016 when we went back. And then I couldn't stick around anymore. And I told Vince, Vince, I can't do this Dudley thing anymore the way you want to do it. And he's like, no problem, Bubba. I got you. I understand. And me and Vince shook hand and parted ways. And then I went and I did Ring of Honor and Busted Open. And I don't even know what else I did. I did TNA for a while. And I did my own thing with Busted Open being, the center of my universe. And I enjoy what I do. And then WrestleMania in Philadelphia last year.
Oh, yeah.
An idea. WrestleMania was on a Saturday. Saturday and Sunday, but I believe I was performing on Saturday. On Wednesday night at 10 o'clock, an idea popped into the universe. Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. And on Saturday at 7 o'clock, I was in a ring.
Whose idea was it? Yours?
Let's just say that myself and Triple H came up with something that worked.
It did work. I was surprised. I remember, I think I texted you afterwards. I thought that was really cool, by the way.
I thought it was fun. I thought it added something to the guys' match. I was happy to be in there with everybody that was involved in the match. Had a blast. Got invited back for the draft with Devon for Raw and SmackDown. Got invited to do LFG, a couple of other things for the for the network. Things have been going nicely. We're getting into season 2 of LFG. I have no complaints, and I don't believe they do either. It's a nice working relationship right now.
Yeah, I think I'm very happy for you to see that. You're lucky as fuck, but I wish those things would happen to me in my industry. But you and I have very similar things that have gone on in our lives. But I
would love to do something with you one day.
Well, you know what?
I think that's entirely too much testosterone and asshole in one room. But
hold on. Let me take you back to a conversation. it was 2014, and I had just got fired, or 2013, from my first gig in Atlanta. And I always knew that wasn't going to last. And the next job, the rock one, was the one I was supposed to get to begin with. Anyway, that's when I started dabbling in podcasting. You and I had a conversation. We were going to do something. You were available. I was obviously available. And I said, look, if we're going to do something, it's got to be wrestling oriented. But, like, I'll compare myself to your host on Busted Open, Dave LaGreca. I'm nowhere near that guy's knowledge of professional wrestling. That guy is a savant when it comes to things in wrestling, which is great for what he does. But you and I can bullshit. You and I can talk girls, rock and roll. We've got personal stories we share from the days of going to lollipops and all this other stuff. So nobody else has that. But you said to me, you go, Bucket, I don't want to talk about wrestling. I want to do something else, which every other celebrity that I know that I talk to that wants to do a podcast always says to me. They want to talk about something else. Then this motherfucker, Ben, not only like 2 years later, is on this wrestling show. That's all he's talking about is wrestling. And now he's the king of wrestling, like the king of all media wrestling. That's all he does.
Dance with the one that brung you.
He told me he did not want to talk about wrestling. You said that.
You're probably right. And I think this conversation happened late at night when I was in my car on the driveway of my home in Florida when I had just gotten back from my wrestling school. That's how good my memory is when it actually needs to be. That's probably where I was at that moment.
Yeah. And now look at you.
I'll listen, but I'll come on with you. Like, if you want to do a wrestling segment on your podcast, I'll come on with you and talk about it. If I can find time to do it, I'll do it.
Dude, no, we can talk about whatever on here. My audience loves you.
I want to talk about chicks and rock and roll.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
I'm into this.
Let's talk about chicks and rock and roll. Have you
hear about my party?
What party? Obviously the one I wasn't invited to. Which one is this?
I'm inviting you guys now.
Oh, okay. We'll
Bring
be
your
there.
wife. Come to Vegas for WrestleMania.
Okay.
Just get on a plane.
I can do that.
Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
April 17th.
Oof, it's gonna be tough.
The Palms Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
The Ghost Bar on the roof.
Oh, that's nice.
Bully Ray's Sin City Rooftop Rocker.
Fuck. Do you have a DJ for it?
I have 2 DJs for it.
I would have got you my friend. He's a big Vegas guy out there.
Tell him about the party.
I will. I'll definitely
I'll let him spin
the ones and twos. And that I can't make because I have prior engagements that weekend. We're having a WrestleMania party at the house. I have people flying in from out of state.
Fuck them.
To do this thing. That's going to be good. So who else is going to be there? You? Who else?
Me.
Just you. That's all that's important. Hey, I saw you tweet. Here's another thing I want to ask you. I saw you tweet a little teaser about before it's almost too late. Everybody's got one more last in them, a TLC-ish match, because all the parties involved, you guys can still perform.
No TLC-ish match. You read into that the wrong way.
Match with the Hardys.
One last match. The Hardys want it. The Hardys want it more than we want it.
Mm-hmm.
As great as the Hardys are, they will never ever be able to surpass what me and Devon did. It's just a fact. Me and Devon have won the IWGP World Tag Team Championships 2 times, and we won them in the Tokyo Dome in Japan. Until you win those championships, you can't be in the same league as me and Devon, and they know this. The Hardys are doing a great job in TNA as champions, tag champions right now. The Hardys will most likely one day, probably in the near future, go back to the WWE and have their final run as one of the greatest tag teams ever, which they deserve because the Hardys were created in the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, the Hardys need the Dudleys in the ring one last time. There's no team out there for them to solidify, stake their flag in the ground and go, okay, they need me and Devon. And listen, it would be fun. Hardys, Dudleys, one last time in a TNA ring, in a WWE ring. one time. Me and Devon are not looking to come back and do this again because we have absolutely zero. And when I mean zero left to prove. I will never sit here and tell you that me and Devon are the best wrestling tag team of all time. The greatest. Everything is subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what me and Devon are. The most successful tag team that has ever existed on God's green earth since professional wrestling was invented. And nobody can top what we have done. That's it.
So with the Hardys, you would need a lead up, a story.
No,
you just
the dream match.
Just a dream match straight up.
All you need to do is book it and put it on the marquee. Hardys, Dudleys, one last time.
You wouldn't want any lead up into it. No,
don't need it.
Don't need it.
You don't need
one
it
for the road.
You don't need it.
And you don't think? I mean, I know that Edge and Christian are with AEW. You don't think that if waiting a period of time, they would be out of those contracts and they could get involved for that?
Here's the thing: the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian were known for one thing: TLC.
Right.
The Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian have no desire to do a TLC match ever again. We don't want to do it. I don't think they could put enough money in front of us to do it because we can't top what we've done. Not only did we do it once, not only did we do it twice, we did it 3 times. And we topped ourselves each and every time. There's nothing left to do. I'd rather just leave those 3 matches out there for the rest of history. Put them in a time capsule and dig them up in 100 years and watch them.
Yeah.
Can we get the Road Warrior to do commentary on that one? That would be awesome.
Well, they're dead, but thanks for watching.
I was just getting ready to say the same thing.
Tremendous.
Like
both of them.
Yeah, both.
Check Wikipedia. Mongo and Terminator.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
And the third one that they threw in there eventually. Is there something that you haven't done in a WWE ring that, as a performer, that you'd still want to do?
I think
you still want to do the Bully Ray character.
Yeah, Bully Ray was 48 hours away from happening.
Yeah.
Vince gave me the green light, and then Vince called me and he said, I had to change my mind. And he had a very good reason to change his mind. It was when he had the Be a Star campaign was his anti-bullying campaign was very, very hot at the time.
Mm.
And he goes, how am I supposed to have Bully Ray as a character and have an anti-bullying campaign? And I gave him an answer. I said, listen, let me do my thing for a year and then have one of the top level baby faces beat me and tell me and show me the light. And then I'll go and do all the school, I'll talk to all the students at the schools, why bullying was wrong, why I should have never been a bully, and how I've turned a new leaf. He goes, I absolutely love the idea. By the time that year comes around, I will have gotten killed in the press for having somebody like you on my show and an anti-bullying campaign at the same time. And he was right.
Mm.
I didn't, and me and Vince shook hands, and that was it.
The terrorist thing, that's we can put that one on there, but definitely don't want to do the bullying thing.
Terrorist.
The whole thing with the guy that fought Hulk Hogan, and then they had the hoods, and like really real when we were going through. Yeah, I mean, whoever.
So, I mean, but I would never be able to be the version of Bully Ray that I was in TNA in the WWE. Much like Matt Hardy was not able to be broken Matt Hardy in the WWE. And if I can't do something that I created, I don't want to do it at all. That's why I had a problem with our final run as the Dudleys.
Mm-hmm.
We were a watered down version of what we once were. Not because me and Devon watered us down, the WWE watered us down. And that's just a fact. There's no hard feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Just what it was. The day me and Devon got back to the WWE in 2015, Vince McMahon sat me and Devon down in his office and he said, guys, this is what I need from you for the next year. You're going to work with the Usos, you're going to work with the New Day, and you're going to work with the Wyatts. I need you to get all 3 of those teams over.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, boss.
Yeah.
Like when your boss calls you in and he says, this is the job I need you to do. Okay.
Yeah. I wonder, the Aces and Eights faction, is one of the most, I guess, notorious known factions. Definitely the biggest one TNA's ever seen, right? But even in fans from other promotions, if you're a WWE fan or WCW, you have to put the Aces and Eights faction in that conversation, right? You know of it. You follow the story. It was a big to-do. It crossed over in the wrestling world. I wonder if that faction popped up in a WWE event, if the fans would know what it is.
Probably not. It's too far gone now.
Too far gone, because Vegas, perfect place to do it. You know
and here's the thing. I did get a call from TNA a couple of years ago, and they said, we're thinking about resurrecting the Aces and Eights. And I said, nope.
No.
And they said, why? I said, unless you can get me every single guy that was associated with the group, I don't want it, because then it's just a second-rate version of what we did and was successful.
Right. And you know, a lot of guys in that thing.
I wanted, it had to be me. It had to be Devon. It had to be Ken Anderson. It had to be D'Lo Brown. It had to be
Taz.
It had to be Doc. I mean, it had to be Mike Knox. It had to be Garrett Bischoff. It had to be Wes Briscoe. It had to be the core group that from day one was there. Otherwise,
yeah,
no, why do it? What? It's like when the band does the reunion tour with only one original member.
And it's not the lead singer.
It's just a money grab, and it'd never be the same. The Aces, I love the Aces and Eights story, and I'll always be grateful to Eric Bischoff for putting me in that position. I thought it went really well, and I wish it could have gone farther. But when creative changed hands in TNA, they decided to kill the Aces and Eights, which I never thought was a good idea.
Ben, at some point in time, we've got to find a way when Bubba's back in Florida and has got some time, and there's a show that we can get Bubba to meet Richie. Unless
God, do
you know Richie Serency, Bubba?
No.
No, he's been in the rock and roll business for a long time. He's head of security for Biscuit, Disturbed, Evanescence, Journey, currently Ghost, but I think he's a New York guy. And just we had him on the show the other day, and Ben's part of that Jacksonville music group. So, you know, dude, he was telling us, I mean, he didn't stop talking, which is fine, you know, but he was telling us these stories. And I love just listening to these rock and roll stories. Like, he was telling us a story about Biscuit, because Fred Durst got him in the business. And when they first started, they were going to sign they had 3 different labels, 2 big labels, and then 1 offshoot label called Flip Records.
Yep.
Nobody knows about it. And Durst goes, hey, we got to take this van out to LA. I tell you what, if the van flips over, we'll go with Flip Records. Well, the van flipped over. They almost died. So
wow,
he signed with Flip Records, and still to this day is with Flip Records. Great story.
And there you have it.
That's a great fucking rock and roll story right there. Right? Like, man, this fucking van flips over. I'm going to fucking go with Flip Records. What, Ben?
That's that ring I was telling you about.
Oh, the one that Durst gave you? Yeah. So
Yeah,
anyway.
All right, I got to go.
All right, man. Talk to you soon. Later.
Thanks, guys.
All right. See you. Get on
Take
the
care,
phone.
bye.
Brother.
Woo! There you go. Tip from the studio. There you go. Wrestling knowledge, Ben, not up to speed, not up to par.
Not so much. Yeah, not good with the wrestling.
But I will tell you this. I appreciate you actually doing research. I'm not used to people on my show doing research. That was very sweet of you. It was off.
I gave it my best shot, man.
It was off, but I appreciate it nonetheless.
I love how tenderly he corrected me on shit.
Yeah, Bubba's, he's a big teddy bear. He's one we've been friends for a very long time.
Get him on tomorrow. I want to meet him again.
He's just a great dude. It was funny. I texted him. I was like, hey, dude, you want to come on and talk a little bit about WrestleMania and stuff? And he's like, dude, he owes me a couple favors because he's in town all the time, but he's always working, you know, so I don't have that lifestyle. I wish I did, you know, where you fly in, you fly out, you fly in, you fly out. And, you know, he's a busy guy. I get it. All right. Look, thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Remember, this is a Freebay episode, so you don't have to be a subscriber to get it. So if you're listening on other platforms, which I need to make more of a point of, because I know a lot of you might be listening on your Apple podcast app, on your Google. Spotify's great because Spotify has all of the episodes. We have way more shows than just this show of the BS. There is a subscription version as well, which we hope that you subscribe. More cool guests, so on and so forth, conversation, and you have content 5 days a week. Some of it's free, but if you want it all, there's a small charge. It's $4.99 a month. It helps the cause, keeps my lights on, and the way to do that is by going to thebaileyshow.com. Thebaileyshow.com. There's a subscribe button there. Just because you subscribe to Spotify does not mean you subscribe to the BS podcast. And you can only get the subscription episodes on Spotify. You will see episodes that have a lock next to them. Once you subscribe, they'll unsubscribe. So if you dug this episode, I purposely put the Freebay episode out with Bubba, but there's other good stuff, so hopefully you dig it. Our social media at Listen to the BS. Please give us a like, share, follow. That's very important in order for us to continue to grow, and we're doing really well. But I need the continued help. Our social media at Listen to the BS and on YouTube at The Bailey Show. And there's a private BS Facebook group if you want to join. Just ask and I'll let you in. I think that's it. Oh, yeah, sponsorship. We've got great sponsors. If you're interested in being one, reach out to me via thebaileyshow.com, and we can have that conversation. In the works with a couple people right now, which is pretty cool. So Ben has been a huge contributor and introducing people to the podcast on becoming possible sponsors. So hopefully that'll happen. To wrap up, to beginning this conversation, great job to you, Ben, and your band, the Good Ole Boys, this past weekend at Wing Shack in Orlando. You guys crushed it. We'll do more. Well, you guys, I'm sure we'll have more gigs, but hopefully we'll have another event coming up sooner or later and get you guys out there to play. All right.
But yeah, man. Again, I can't thank you enough for you and your wife coming. It was awesome.
Yeah. I didn't realize, Ben's got tons of music out there. He's got a song with Brad Stewart from Saliva on Spotify, right? You got 2 songs out there. You got the stuff
with him. Yeah. We have our own Spotify station, our own Pandora.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know that. The Good Ole Boys out there too, or is it under Ben Badger?
That's under Fall to June. Ben Badger might have some stuff, but Good Ole Boys is just a tribute band, which I love, but it's,
All right. We should get you a social media, something clever like Ben from the BS or something like that. Anyway, you got anything before we get out?
I do. I think I'm going to start moonlighting writing storyboards for, Family Ties and Amnesia for wrestling via Wikipedia.
That's clever. Nicely done. All right. Look, again, appreciate the support. Thanks for listening. Have a great, safe rest of your day and continue to support the BS. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Till next time, check out thebaileyshow.com. Make sure you like, share, follow on all socials. I leave you with these parting words.
Never got a pink slip either. You know what I would get? A guy would come around to my desk and say, "Get the fuck out of here!"
What do we want to talk about?
Subscribe at thebaileyshow.com. Yeah, baby.